That is why I have come here today to ask the American people to join me in a great national effort to perfect the promise of America for this new time as we seek to build our more perfect union. Now, when there is more cause for hope than fear, when we are not driven to
We have civil disturbances, we are prepared to deal with that.
There were attempts to kill firefighters.
No! No violence! No violence!
Timbers are starting to boil. There's no chance of calling a truce. All hell is gonna break loose. Rioting, Montagne streets are up in flames. No dollar will cover the cost of your home or your loved ones lost. Welcome to the land of the free. Welcome to insanity. Welcome to the home of the brave. Welcome, it's a coming mass grave. Welcome. Welcome.
Now is the time we should learn together, talk together, and act together to build one America.
Ready to get this going?
When the Klan started out, it wasn't against niggers. It wasn't against Jews. It wasn't against, it was about keeping a white way of life. You lived with white folk, you ate with white folk, you slept with white folk. There was no going down to the barn stall and getting with a nigger. There's a little saying that they say the only reason why you're white today is because of segregation yesterday.
God made different races for a reason, to stay separated.
I see separation in terms of our condition here in America as a situation without compromise. You cannot say that you want to separate and still remain here on this soil.
I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid of having deeper and deeper racism, polarization, separate. And you keep people down too long, they're gonna rise up. I would.
You know, we would be foolish to say that we're going to get up enough guns and ammunition to go and take over America, and we're going to overthrow the government with guns, and we're going to kill all white people. Where would we start?
What frightens me is we're living in what I call the last days of the Romanovs, and the people are dancing and singing and having a great time. They don't realize what's just down the road. It's going to break down into a balkanized warfare in this country. The Civil War will look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the first Civil War. This Civil War will be like a Bosnia, and when it explodes, the United States is through as a nation. They just haven't got the message yet.
We're all getting together Saturday, huh?
Yeah, I guess we're supposed to have our cross lighting out there at Dan's.
All right.
I come from a real loving family. My mom's first-generation American. My father, he's from Massachusetts. He's a good guy, you know, and they share a lot of views and support everything that I've said to them and talked to them about tenfold. They condone my activity, they support me. Of course, they won't join or actually become, because they are citizens in society, you know, and everybody, you know, in this situation, you go marring your face all over a bunch of billboards and passing out literature and saying, yeah, I'm KKK. You know, that some people tend to not like that.
My grandfather, he was full-blooded German, and he was kind of borderline, you know. I mean, he did not like the Jews, or he did not like the niggers. He never actually said it, but just, you know, to me personally, but just hearing different conversations around different places, I mean, you kind of pick up little things like that. He was not a Klan member or nothing. You know, I'm the first Klan member through the family.
Well, I like my ride after the sun goes down.
Do him some justice, brother, do him some justice.
Yeah, I like my ride after the sun goes down.
White people awake.
We're about 6 months old right now. You know, we put together literature to go get copies and hand out flyers and stuff. And then we get together and find out where there's rallies at or any going on where we can go and show our support, you know.
Main reason I wanted to get into the Klan, because a lot of it you do see out there is the more radical, I mean, quote unquote, redneck type that just want to go out and kill all the niggers and everything. And I just wanted to put more of a, you know, a real person attitude into it.
That's the biggest part, you know, about the Klan, that they think, you know, it's just niggers that we hate. You know, in the beginning, it all started to keep people right, to keep a good society, keep some sort of order.
The way I always heard it, it's not that we hate the niggers, just never met none we like.
Yeah.
You have several levels of extremities. You have your real radical extremists. Then it would go over to the next spectrum, which would be your working class man, your average redneck, I guess would be defined as, you know, where the person goes to work every day, comes home every day, has a family, you know, and really doesn't have too much involvement in the society around him. His little society is done. The people that are in our organization right now are far from anybody new that we know. You know, we know exactly what our intentions are and exactly how each person feels as far as the problem at hand being the races.
You know, people pick different ways to put the message out. Some do it with literature, some do it with violence, some put it in their music.
Try to see what it means to be free. This is why I take my life to decide what.
You know, everybody's got their own little style. You know, we like to do a little bit of each. You know, influence, try and spread it out a little bit to where we draw more attention from all different types.
We didn't end the unemployment line. It's obvious that you're doing fine. We go your own jail just so you can pay.
They see these groups like this and they don't want them to come because of, not just because of what they're singing, because mostly these club owners don't even know what they're singing about. You know, they just see the band image and things like that, and they don't like that, and they're just shunned for the way they look, which is discrimination again.
Because we don't like freeloaders.
That's a rat. If they find out you're with a white separatist group or something, you're automatically labeled a hate group. It makes me sick, man. It makes me sick. It does. And it's just getting worse and worse for the white man every single day, because our race is dying off. If white women keep breeding with Hispanic niggers, whatever they are, any non-white race, our white race is going to be wiped out completely.
I mean, it's just laws of nature, and like breeding dogs. You don't see the breeders going and mixing chows and everything else together, because it just ruins the bloodline of the dog.
I mean, and that's what we're here for purification of the white race.
We're not looking to be labeled as racists, but if that's what they're calling us because we believe we're white, so be it.
So be it. But what we stand for itself is basically God, race, and nation.
Exactly.
And
Our motto is 14 words. We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
Down, boy, down.
How y'all doing?
Hello, how y'all doing today? Hello, how you doing, young ladies?
Good evening, good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Walaikum salam. How you doing?
My name is Brother Dandy. Nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Read the brochure and give us a call.
Brother L, I am now a member of the Pan-African Inter-Nationalist movement, which is a black nationalist separatist group. When I was younger, I think what influenced me the most was watching on television the riots, the marches that Martin Luther King put on, and watching how black people was beaten and hosed and dogs released on them by white people. I was too young to understand what motivated a person to be so vicious. I even put myself on the other end and said, could I do this to a person? Because I wanted to understand the God of truth, the God of knowledge, the God of life. I asked that God manifest himself in the souls of black men and women in this country and around the world. In my home, there was never racism or hate teaching taught in my home. With my father in all of his years being involved in civil rights, promoting the freedom of black men in this country, he never once advocated hatred or violence toward any people.
We demand that America apologize for her involvement in enslaving our people. We demand that she pays reparations to our people for all the evil and the harm and the hardship, blood, sweat, and tears she caused our people. We also demand that we have a right to choose whether or not we want to repatriate back to Africa.
Until we as African black men and women come into the realization that our freedom lies on the continent of the motherland from which we came, the black man and woman will not ever experience total freedom of expression here in this country.
Well, this is a drug-infested area, so every Caucasian comes in here has to be looked at with a certain amount of skepticism.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
PAIN is a grassroots organization that attempts to reach out to the community. We give out flyers. We take names and numbers and later call and contact people to invite them to come and be a part of our gatherings.
We're a separatist movement. You know, it's like
we have a number of issues within the community that at points we deal with. We try to protect the interests of our community. We always have. Our belief and philosophy is that the integrating that we need to do as African people is within the race and respect the dignity of other races. We will leave you, we have 2 different types of brochures. And if you find anything of interest, pass it on to other people who have some interest in the activities or our philosophy. Working in the innards and sometimes in the bowels of the black community, that's our work, that's our calling.
The average brother over here is a hustler.
Yeah.
You know? I used to live over here.
Yeah.
When I was a hustler. We are a group that is trying to promote the unity of the black nation.
When you talk to someone and you bring an idea to them and you see a little light shine in their eyes, that energizes you.
I'm African. We all are. We all are. So you know,
Africans in America.
Africans in America.
Our people are suffering. There is a great deal of racial tension and stress, and yet no one's really paying any attention to that. We bring out the kinds of issues that most organizations are incapable of doing or simply afraid to do.
See, this brother still very concerned about the conditions under which our people were brought here.
And I know that imprints very deeply on your mind.
Man, that'll make maggots, man.
I know.
You think about that, man. They just throw them in that damn shit, man, like maggots, like sardines or something.
There is rage in the black community, and until they go through the process of becoming spiritually rebirthed, that rage will continue to exist and will evolve and explode in this country.
And that's why what we do is important in terms of what has been done to our ancestors in the past. That's why we're working.
The British and the French took everywhere. They surrounded everywhere.
I try to always think and feel in the collective, and so I cannot forget about the pain and the suffering of all my people. And so the British owe us, don't they?
You goddamn right.
That's the kind of organization that we
goddamn crack, I'll get mad.
No, well,
but all white men ain't the same.
Of course not. And you see, we must not have anger that's directed in negative places. We do not advocate overthrowing anyone or grabbing guns or shooting anyone. However, be careful about coming on my turf.
These are African rhythms, passed down to us from the ancient spirits. Feel the spirit, a unifying force.
Yeah, let's together.
Come on, move with the spirit. Stand up, clap your hands. groove with the rhythm. Get down, get off.
I want to talk with you today concerning the topic, separate and be saved. I don't like what America is. I don't like life for black people in America. If America is unwilling to grant her 22 million ex-slaves freedom to go for self today, it is the same unwillingness of white America's forefathers in dealing with our parents less than 100 years ago. The Nation of Islam has always taught that there is no redemption for America. The best thing that we can do is separate ourselves from it. You know, when you put together two things that just don't belong together, you're going to get some kind of a mutation. This melting pot, this colorless society that they're telling you about today, it's abnormal. We still don't believe that there's going to ultimately be this one great community and everybody's going to love one another in it. That's just not realistic. It's not natural. The Nation of Islam does consider itself an ecclesiastical principality. We are a nation within a nation. We do have a military structure. We have ambassadors, chiefs of police. We are indeed a government. We're just a captive government. When you look at the idea of nationhood, you realize that what we're dealing with here is something very base, something very simple. Let me read something to you here. You'll immediately be familiar with it. You'll recognize it right away. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separate. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What is that excerpt? It's from the Declaration of Independence, isn't it? Mukhtar, it's not a letter that you wrote to me, is it? No, sir. Did you write that to me, Naeem? To your wife? To your brother? Did any black person write it? Well, it was written by a white man who had a certain determination, who had a certain common idea in their minds. To do what? To separate. What is in those men that's any different than what's in me today, than what's in you today? We're only asking the same thing that they're asking for the same reasons. Because the same thing that the King of England was doing to them, the American government has and still does do to us. That's right. And you wonder why I'm angry today. You wonder why I don't want to let bygones be bygones, because they ain't bygone yet. That's right. They're still occurring. That's right. You're still heaping it on me. The way that we're going to ultimately accomplish our goals of independence, of self-sufficiency, of a nation that we can call our own, is to obtain reparations from the American government. And one of the instruments that we're using, or a major instrument that we're using, is a petition that we filed with the United Nations Subcommission on Human Rights.
One of the reasons I believe this reparations effort, especially for the Lost and Found Nation of Islam, is going to be successful is that my organization is United Nations non-governmental organization on the roster. And what that means is that we can go to the United Nations and ask for compensation, because that's one of the ways that governments are forced to deal with the wrong that they've done, is they have to compensate the people that they've damaged.
And so you deserve some extra help, not just the same opportunities. I get so sick of hearing that. You have equal opportunity. Why don't you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps? You burnt up my boots.
That's right.
Give me back my boots.
That's right.
And then, that's right, give me a brand new pair of Timbs. I don't want them old combat boots anymore. I want some Gore-Tex now. I can't be satisfied as long as this community is the way that it is. As long as life for black people in general in America is the way it is.
These are the people that need upliftment the most. I mean, as you can see just from going through the community, there's a lot of alcoholism, a lot of drugs. It's just total devastation, and I would much rather be living down at Central Park West. I mean, I want to be comfortable. Everybody, I think, wants to be comfortable. But realistically, that's not where my people are.
There's so many things that black people suffer from in the United States that are against the law right now. And there are people here who are about to explode. When I first began to be interested in this issue, it came because of my belief in Islam. I came across the teachings of Islam because I was introduced to it by my husband. He wasn't my husband at the time, he was just a teacher of mine. It's been a little difficult, you know, to understand why do we love each other and want to be together, because separation is the law in Islam. The children that I have in my family, being married to a black man, our children are black. They're accepted in the nation, even though their mother is white. An event that I look forward to is for my children to live in the new nation, the kingdom that's being established. I won't be able to live in the nation or be a member of the nation, but I certainly hope that I can visit my children and they can visit me. I don't expect to be shut off from them. Like the messenger said, white people would come to help. Take it by the hands now. What you gonna do with it?
When you have white people do good things, it's to say, oh, I help the colored people. I don't know if you're really being kinder to me because of the person you are or because this is your good deed for the day.
Hi, it's Katisha. May I speak with her, please? How you doing? You're straight? Okay. How's our mom?
Basically, I live a life of community service. I go to work, my 8 to 5 job, which involves me counseling teens about sexually transmitted diseases like HIV, syphilis, gonorrhea, everything. I talk with them about how to cope with relationships. I talk to them how to deal with their parents. Some of my clients have children themselves. I talk to them how to educate their kids. Then after that, I do home visits. Hey, Nikki, how you doing?
Fine, how you doing?
Good. This year, you know, regular, bringing over some condoms in case you don't continue to have abstinence and you do get the urge, you know, have sex. Protect yourself so you don't get HIV, STDs, and all that good stuff, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. You have any questions, like, you want to talk about anything, prayer, problem, whatever?
No, not right now.
Okay. You promise to call me if anything go wrong, right?
I promise.
Okay, well, take care and be good.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. I get a sense of self in helping other people analyze their problems. And I accept people for who they are, and that's all I wanted in return. And in dealing with that, I know that society's not like that. The world isn't like that. And no matter how much people in your face say, hey, it's okay to be black, or it's okay to be my friend because you are an African American, they just as well could not really mean it.
I know so many white people, I mean, where do I start? You know, the trouble with white people, just can't tell them apart. I'm so...
The polarization in this country is so pervasive. Americans, by and large, especially white Americans, are acting out of fear all the time. We're looking over our shoulder. Walking down a street and we see a black person walking toward us, white people will cross the street, not having any idea what that person is really like. I saw racism as this huge train barreling down the tracks at breakneck speed, not stopping.
I eat too much, you know, I laugh too long, too much of you.
Operation Understanding DC is a year-long program for black and Jewish teenagers to re-energize, recreate, rebuild the relationship between African Americans and Jews. We have young people meeting on a regular basis. We have the parents of these young people meeting on a regular basis. We have rabbis and black ministers meeting on a regular basis for almost 3 years. We want to end racism in our lifetime.
Okay, we're going to need everyone to be very quiet because right now we're going to light the Shabbat candles.
Elohim melech haolam.
It wasn't like I had, a racial slur against me and said, I'm going to have to do something about this. I'm just a do-good whitey and heard about this program and said we need it in D.C. and have expanded it to, be nationwide.
It does take dedication to belong to a group like this and to really work at understanding people. In the long run, it'll take a lot less work than digging ourselves out of the hole that racism is going to cause.
Oh, you're going it back?
Oh yeah.
Did you like show it to him? And
Yeah, had a picture. So like, bam, got the picture.
Hey man, look, so you look like a black white man without his beard, man. That's it. You look like a black white man without his beard. You need it, Justin.
It takes a lot of energy to hate, and people who decided to vote their lives towards hating another group of people and fashioning organizations and fashioning ideologies that capitalize on that hate are missing the point. This group uses a similar type of energy for something good.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have you all here today, and I've come a long way, and I'm glad to be here with John and his friends and all the Klan leaders and so forth. What I do as a war spokesman is that I try to instill in the mind a basic understanding among white activists of where we're going. Now, a few signs you're going to see along our way towards a second civil war in this country, and I want you to understand that. It is not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. Too many young people that I run into that are in the racialist struggle are still about 10 years behind time because of poor leadership. Your job is to pick the right kind of people, leadership cadre. Now, that's all we want is leadership cadre. Don't worry, the right wing keeps wanting to recruit the public. I don't want the public. If you recruited 10,000 of them, what would you do with them? They'd be fighting and bickering and tear your whole operation apart. Whether it be Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, whoever it may be. Do you think they went out and tried to recruit the public? No! They got a hardcore crew of guys with Uzis or whatever it takes, and they went out and did the job, and when they had the power, the people say, I was with you all the time. Race is the issue, the primary issue for whatever I'm doing. I'm very proud to be a racist. But beyond that, I'm a racial separatist. Now, the projected split up in this country, and we have a map here, sort of along these lines, right down through the top of Georgia and Alabama, in this direction, and down into eastern Texas, the Black Nation. Capital, Atlanta. Most of my support is the quiet support, the people who are racist behind closed doors, but if you turn a camera on them, they would not be. When I ran for Congress in 1980, won the Democratic nomination for Congress, 55,000 people voted for me, and the next day they couldn't find one who did. From East Texas up through here, spiking up into Colorado, and down and across to California, on the coast up to, and there's going to be a little deal up in here in the valley, Mestizo. And of course this is the greatest threat to everybody because they got a natural land bridge there. If they want to call me evil, that's fine with me. Those are very subjective words like love and hate. Everybody hates, everybody loves. When people say they hate nobody, they're lying sons of bitches. There'll be no man's lands in between us, and there'll be artillery and everything else. This is sort of some of the projections that some people have. If it goes just along these lines, we're just going to be warring groups with territories. Or if one gains the upper hand, it could be genocide for any of the groups. Because the extension of politics is war, and the extension of war is genocide. Unfortunately, the German experiment was only lasted a few years, and then a bitter war which killed 55 million people, most of them white. We would definitely support eugenics as a positive upbreeding of the races, as opposed to what we have today as the downbreeding of the races. I mean, we treat our cattle and our sheep and even our pigs and so forth with much more dignity breeding up than we do people. As I go around the country, a lot of these young people being attracted into different groups are not being told to shape up. They're physically out of shape, they're dropping out of school, they're just told to say nigger, nigger, nigger and like crosses and stuff. And that isn't going to cut the mustard. It's not fun and games and having these little things, you know. This is heavy duty, and they're coming. This is the good old days. I tell my girlfriend all the time, this is the good old days. Remember, because it's going to get really hot in this country.
Now is the time we should learn together, talk together, and act together to build one America.
I just want to hate niggers. That's something I want to do.
I don't discriminate. All white people are the devil.
Blacks are lazy, blacks are dangerous, Jews are rich, Jews are big noses.
They can turn around and call each other niggers, and the white man does it, automatically want to fight.
Our hate is towards the nigger. Our hate is towards the wetback.
Do I hate every other race and want to see them wiped off the planet? I don't care.
If I hate you and you hate me, there's no way in hell we're going to like each other.
There'll be probably ongoing skirmishes and conflict and a will to power, and that is man's nature, aggression.
There's a race war going on every day.
You are going to see a real cataclysmic happening.
America is going to be, as described in the scripture, the lake of fire.
I'd like to see it get going before I'm sitting in a rocking chair.
I don't necessarily want to go around killing white people.
If there's war to happen, I'll be right there at the front line. Don't move.
You've been warned.
A lot of times you can see a lot of hate, which is, again, well-founded.
When I hate something, or when black people hate something, they just want to get away from it. History has proven that when white people hate something, they kill it.
People may think this is a little extreme. When you're ready, you're ready.
We'll retaliate with all force.
Death by execution, and nothing more, nothing less.
I have no fear of them. This is a dangerous world that we live in.
We do have enemies.
If they raise their arm, I'm going to smack them.
The destruction that they have planted for my people will only bring a worse destruction on them.
Let us pray that those who have spoken for hatred and division in the past will turn away from that past.
I feel that the groups that want to be separated should come together as separatist groups and fight together to be separate.
I do believe that we should be separated. And I don't think that I need to get together with somebody who killed my brother in order to get that point across.
Love is the way of life, but you got to treat it. You just got to treat it right.
Tell me what's going on today. What are you doing?
Well, we're here with the Pan-African International Movement, and what we want to do today is show people that there is a working relationship developing across the country and around the world between separatist groups. It was quite disturbing to our enemies to see a radical black group and a radical white group standing together saying the same thing. We might want to move the press conference down closer to the crowd.
If we can understand what the Klan is saying, and they're separatists, and if they can understand what we're saying, and certainly we're separatists, really think about it, the association with the Klan makes a lot of sense.
President Bill Clinton has called for a year of honest dialogue in America. The President has proposed to begin the healing with a formal national apology to blacks for the institution of slavery. Most blacks feel that more than an apology is due. Most whites feel they've been forced to give too much to blacks already. Herein lies the racial divide and deadlock that grips America. As the races are forced closer together, the violence and chaos increases. Assimilation has failed. Voluntary separation is the only option left.
When I'm on the stage with my father and we're doing demonstrations with the Klansmen, we know that this is a controversial issue. we know that this demands attention. And this is a way of getting our message out.
America is indebted to the descendants of African slaves, not for an apology, but also the right to reparation for the purpose to repatriate back to our ancestors' homeland, Africa.
We just got to realize that it's just time to quit all the foolishness, quit acting like kids and grow up, man. You know, divided we fall, together we stand.
And all of the racists out there don't need to get nervous about us because we're not advocating the taking of anything. We don't advocate no revolution of anything here in America. Our eyes is pointed toward the holy lands of our father, Africa.
It's never gonna work. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why do you even have to be separated? Why do you even have to look at someone's color of the skin?
Why? Why purification? You know, you deal with racism every day, but to actually see the Klan and the black and the red and the white, it was like, whoa, it's like I was mesmerized actually. Toward the end when they yelled white power, I was like, nothing's gonna change.
The blacks are looking for money, huh?
Yep. Money and an apology.
The apology, that's pushing it. You know, I mean, that's something that's over and done with through history of slavery, whether it was white, black, or indifferent.
But all of them that's wanting the apology wasn't even born during slave days.
Well, I guess they feel that we owe them something. They found themselves a crutch on the government is what they done.
What more do we owe?
Right to a fair trial and a hanging.
You gotta look outside your eyes. You gotta think outside your brain. You gotta walk outside your life to where the neighborhood changed.
The clans of today are simply men with no power. Those who we fear are those that sit in high places of position.
Tell me who's your boogeyman. That's who I will be. You don't have to like me for who I am, but we'll see what you're made of by what you make of.
If I had the power to push the button or pull a switch to wipe out every other racial group, including Jews in this country, the first thing I would do was cut the testicles off of the feds.
I think that the government is planning to move in on all sorts of radical groups, left and right, and try to take them down any way they can.
Friends all over this country. I got friends in other countries too. I got friends I haven't met yet. I got friends I never knew. I got love.
Greatest danger and threat to our people in this country is to continue on the path that we're on now. To continue to hope that government or some organization or some individual is going to come and alter social policy or change things for us. That's not going to happen.
Why don't you give me a call? Decided willing to fight for what you think is real, for what you think is right.
If the American government does not respond to our civilized request and denies justice for us, then what is the good in living? What is the good in sentencing our children to perpetual slavery? We may as well do like some of those mothers did in wars past. Just strap a bomb to the baby and send the baby out to take out a number of your enemies because you're dead anyway.